What's up, YouTube? My name is Frederica Michelle and welcome to my channel. On today's video, we'll be discussing mental health. Mental health is one of those topics that is the most talked about but least talked about subject there is. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why I think that is. But if you like today's video, please do me a favor and click the like button down below. Please comment and subscribe to my channel. Now, what does mental health look like? It looks like me. Yeah. Mental health does not have just this specific look. Mental health looks like the person next door, the person that you encounter on the street. They look just like any other normal person, but what is different is the inside, the physical traits. Not really what's different are the mental state that we often deal with. We look just like any other person that you pass on the street, any other person that you encounter. There is no quote unquote physical differences. It's all mental. So, with my own story, a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with depression as well as anxiety and a little bit of bipolar. For me, it started years ago. And when I say years ago, I don't think there is really a time in my life that I did not experience those mental health issues. The only difference is that I just didn't know what it was and certainly what to do about it. But honestly, ever since I was a kid, it's the way I can explain it is just this feeling of just something's not right, but you don't really know what it is, and certainly how to fix it. So that went on for literally decades before I actually sought help and was diagnosed and began treatment. Now, why is mental health talked about but still not really? I think because even though we are in now 2023, mental health is still one of those things that people like to kind of push away in the closet. We want to hide that away. We acknowledge it if it's in somebody else, but not so much when it's ourselves. And I believe that's because there's just still this stigma that surrounds mental health that causes you to feel bad. It makes you feel that you're different, that there's something wrong with you, that you're not normal, you're not like everybody else. And in today's society, you can just look around. Everybody wants to look like everybody else. Everybody wants to sound like everybody else. We're all walking around almost looking like clones of one another. Whatever the hottest trend is, whatever is hot right now, that's what most of us want to be like. And mental health usually does not fit into that mold. So it's still hard for some people to come to terms with that, let alone being able to tell others and talk about it. Me, for instance, I spent decades hiding that something was wrong, that something was not right. I couldn't tell people about the thoughts that were going on in my mind. I could not tell people that my mind was literally like a prison, that I felt like I was just trapped in, that I just could not escape my own mind. I could not tell people that, hey, there are some days where I'm so sad that I literally don't want to be here anymore. That I fantasize about not being here anymore. That's a lot to actually have to admit to somebody, because you're afraid of the judgment. You're afraid of how they might see you. And you don't want to look like anything other than what you have in your mind of how they think of you. So you keep it buried inside and you do your best to try to hide it. And that's what I did. But one thing about mental health, when it's gone unchecked, it doesn't get better. It just, I guess, what's the best way to try to explain it? Basically, it just exposes itself in a different way, so to speak. You might not be saying anything. You might not have disclosed issues that you're having, but it shows up in your physical being. You've seen people, I know, that you're like, man, they look really tired. They look, like they just don't care about their appearance, when maybe they used to. Maybe they used to dress really well and they were all about looking good, and now all of a sudden they don't. Or they lash out, they're happy one minute and next thing something very small sets them off. So it exposes itself in different ways that makes it very hard to hide it for an extended period of time. And I think along with that is, in the Black community, it's still very taboo to admit mental health. I know when I was growing up, I'm an 80s baby. When I was growing up, I never heard the word depression, never heard about anxiety, any of those things. I never heard it. And if there were people around that maybe exhibited those signs, it was always, oh yeah, they just crazy. I think they might be on drugs. And it was just dismissed as one of those things. And it was never anything about like, oh, maybe they need help. Maybe it's something else. It was just automatic. They're just crazy. And it was this tone of, you don't want to be that. You don't want to be like that. And that was it. So you did your best to not be like that. And I think that's the same way. For me, it took such a long time. And then I have to admit that even now, there are still some people who are close to me who don't know. I still haven't gotten to that comfort zone where I could tell them, because unfortunately I have had instances where I've told people who are very close to me, and later on when the relationship began to sour, then it was thrown in my face and I was belittled and put down because of it. So with that, there's already this wall that I had built around myself, and now that wall, I would just stack it even higher. So it made it very hard for people to get close to me, because I always had reservations of, I can't say anything to them because they might do what that person did. So those are my biggest hang-ups, and I still, like I said, I struggle with that now. And it does affect your relationships. I am married, and it's hard because some people don't understand mental illness. If you don't go through it, it's like that old saying of, you're on the outside looking in. You can't begin to understand what it's like when somebody explains what goes through their head and why. So that leads some people to make comments like, oh, well, you just need to pray that away. That's a demon working in you. And it's like, oh my God, I'm possessed. That's so terrible to say. And it's like, no, I don't think it really works like that. Sometimes you need specialized treatment. You need specialized help. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people feel like they can't get that. Knowing my triggers, knowing how to cope, I think has been the best thing for me. Instead of all of those years of just trying to hide it and trying to suppress it. Now I'm more attentive of those things around me that I know can set me off. Because another thing that people have a misconception of about mental illness is that, oh, well, didn't you talk to a counselor? Aren't you getting treatment? So you're cured now, right? Doesn't really work like that. It is literally a day-to-day ongoing process. This is something that you literally have to work through and work out every day. It's almost like a former drug addict. You hear drug addicts say that even though they're sober and they've been sober a long period of time, they still are taking it day by day. They're always recovering. So the same thing with mental illness. It's just no magic pill that just makes everything go away. It improves your symptoms, but they don't just completely disappear. My fears and insecurities are people being judgmental, people that I love, so to speak, people who are close to me, because I still work so hard to show them what I want them to see. I don't want them to see me having a bad day. And that's the thing about mental illness. There are good days and there are bad days. No amount of therapy and medication treatment is going to change that. There are good days, there are bad days, and you just learn how to navigate. My hope for the future, however, would be that this is a normalized conversation, that we are able to build a community where we are accepting of the struggles that people have. And their struggles may be different. You may not be able to, understand necessarily what they're going through because you're not going through what they're going through. But I think the key is empathy. Just hear them out. If you notice that somebody doesn't seem right today, and maybe they didn't seem right yesterday, don't just brush it off. Say something. There are lots of instances, and we see it in the news all the time. You see people, celebrities, and you see well-known people, and they're no longer here. And the first thing that everybody always says, never fail, is nobody knew that they were that bad. No one knew that anything was wrong. And sometimes it's, we see things, but we don't say anything. So that is my hope for the future. We start saying something, even if we feel a little out of place. I'd rather feel a little out of place than feeling grief and the woulda, coulda, shouldas after the fact. Okay? Well, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in. I had fun with you guys explaining just a little bit about me. And as I said, on my channel, we'll discuss all kinds of things. You'll get to know me as we go on. There's a lot of layers here. Okay? All right. Till next time,